creepy and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
Officially banned from the internet, and they're even taking down his music. Oh, let me explain. So Kanye West, after the whole Yeezy and Adidas incident, he lost his billionaire status, and then he regained his billionaire status and became the richest music artist in the world. But as of yesterday, he might have just ruined his entire existence. So Kanye, after going absolutely berserk on Twitter, decided to do a Super Bowl commercial, which was truly insane. He paid for a commercial just to submit an iPhone video of him showing off his brand new teeth and then saying go to Yeezy.com. And then he removed everything from Yeezy.com except for this one t-shirt that he just dropped. And I'm not allowed to show this shirt anywhere on social media, but if you look for it, you can find it. And he strategically dropped this shirt right around the Super Bowl so everybody's attention would be on it. And Shopify, the platform that he runs his website on, currently shut down his website. Yeezy.com is now nowhere on the internet. And now Spotify, Apple Music, and all streaming platforms are threatening to remove Kanye's music from their platform. So you will not be able to listen to Kanye West music. So basically Kanye's plan all along backfired, but I think Kanye wants this because he's previously mentioned in the past that he wants to drop his own music on his own website and you have to pay for it. And he tried to put the Vultures album on the Stem player to where you had to buy this device to listen to the album. And he said that he made 2.2 million on the Stem player, which could have had the Vultures album on it. And he said that would have taken over 500 million streams on streaming platforms for his music. So it seems like this is what he wants. He's like canceling himself, but he wants to be canceled because he thinks it's gonna make him more money. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think.
This guy is genius. Not that I care, so Diddy can still have music up, but yeah, he can't.
Child marriage used to be legal in America, and the story of this marriage is one of the most disturbing things I've ever read about. This is 9-year-old Eunice Winstead, and this is her legal husband at the time, Charlie Johns. So on January 19th, 1937, Eunice, who was 9 years old at the time, left her mother's house. On that morning, she told her parents that she was going out to buy herself a new doll. But instead, the 9-year-old was headed to the courthouse to meet her 22-year-old future husband, Charlie Johns. So at the time of this affair, there was no age limit on marriage in Tennessee. I mean, technically, someone could have married an adult and a baby if they paid off the minister and got everything to go through properly. And so on that day, 22-year-old Charlie offered a local Baptist preacher named Walter $1, which equates to around $21 today. And the preacher accepted the offer, came into the church, and married the 9-year-old to the 22-year-old. I mean, obviously, words cannot possibly describe how disturbing images like these are. Now, at first, both Charlie and Eunice's parents disapproved of the marriage, but after some thought, they eventually approved the marriage, and they just allowed them to live together and be married. Now, sadly, Eunice dropped out of school at the age of 9 after her husband, Charlie, pulled her out, and she began giving birth to their children at age 15. They'd eventually have 8 children together. I just cannot believe that shit like this used to happen in America. Comment your thoughts on this below.
This is sick. So between the age of 9 until like maybe 12, 13, he was just molesting her. Even dogs don't do this. Wow. Ooh, Roman face cream. I would be so curious to learn what the Roman face cream was made out of. Scientists, do your...
So these are the real practical life hacks. Learn them, and you've hit the jackpot. 1. Stack the bowls and place them in a plate, then roll them up. This way, they are both stable and neat. 2. Use tape to stick both sides of the nail clipper. This way, when you cut your nails, they won't scatter everywhere. 3. Insert a fork into the edge of the shrimp shell. Pull downward to remove the shrimp meat. 4. Do you still yank the new socks like this? Actually, just find the thread and pull it gently to open them. 5. The ring pull on soy sauce and vinegar bottles isn't meant to be thrown away. It should be flipped over and placed inside the bottleneck. This way, pouring condiments is easier to control and won't splash everywhere. 6. Stuff fresh shrimp into an empty bottle. Fill with water, seal the cap, and freeze in the fridge. This way, they stay fresh for a whole year. 7. Place a lid under the soap. Not only does it prevent water from soaking in, but it's also convenient to grab and use. This trick is highly recommended. 8. Stick a chopstick into a tomato, then roast it over low heat. The skin will easily peel off. Do you like tomatoes like this? 9. Rub garlic with your fingers a few times, and you can pick up the egg yolk with your hands. The egg whites and yolks separate easily. 10. Turn a spoon upside down and place it on the bottleneck. No matter how you pour, it won't spill. No need for a funnel. 11. When draining noodles, they always escape. Just wedge a toothpick between the pot lid and the pot. This way, the noodles won't fall out while draining. 12. Surely no one still doesn't know this, right? The indentations on a steaming plate should face down. This way, the steam will flow away during steaming. The steamed buns won't be sticky. Follow me for more practical life hacks.
Body
I love it.
warning signs you should never ignore.
If you heard this ringing noise in your ear,
Ew.
that is a sign that you are lacking vitamin B12. If you're always thirsty and feel like you can't drink enough water, you may want to get checked for diabetes. It could be nothing but low insulin causes you to pee more, which causes you to drink more water. If your hair is starting to get thin, this could be a sign your body not producing enough hemoglobin. So you should need to eat more foods that are rich in iron. If you're getting random bruises and you have no clue where they came from, this is a sign that you have an iron deficiency. So try to eat more foods with vitamin K and zinc. If a person always feels cold all the time, even in hot weather, that means the person has a thyroid problem. You may need to see a doctor.
You know, sometimes I hear the ringing sound.
In the twisted realm of hell, the most brutal punishment is the colossal grinding disc. The condemned must run ceaselessly. Of course, you could choose to leap into the river, but it teems with flesh-eating fish. Yet this is merely the tip of the iceberg in the 7 layers of hell. There's the tongue-pulling hell for the sin of lying, the frigid ice hell for the unrighteous, the mirror hell for betrayal, the rock hell for violence, and the family ties hell, where King Yama himself presides over judgment. Only those who emerge innocent from these 7 trials have a chance at rebirth. Today, a special soul arrives in this forsaken place. He was a firefighter who, just minutes ago, met with a terrible accident during a rescue. Suspended high above the ground, the rope suddenly snapped. He clutched the little girl he had just saved tightly to his chest as they plummeted, landing outside the safety cushion. Strangely, he emerged unscathed. Perhaps it was God's grace that allowed him to narrowly escape death. He tries to speak to the little girl, but no matter what he says, no one acknowledges him. Suddenly, he hears voices calling his name. Searching for the source, he spots 2 figures clad in black standing beneath the perilous building. The firefighter urgently beckons them to move away, but in doing so, he inadvertently catches sight of his own body lying on the ground, surrounded by his teammates desperately trying to revive him and weeping in anguish. It dawns on him then that he has died. The 2 black-robed figures approach, introducing themselves as messengers from hell. The girl holds a sign that reads, "Noble Person," and she is overjoyed, for it has been 422 years since they last encountered one. The firefighter struggles to accept the news of his own death. He doesn't want to die. He yearns to see his mother one last time. His body is pulled into a whirlpool and vanishes, transporting him to the underworld.
Along with The Gods, Two Worlds. Great Korean movie.
Can the mirror see my head moving?
Yeah.
How does the mirror know what I'm doing if I've got it covered?
The mirror is inanimate, it don't know nothing.
Dude.
How can you see what my head is doing on the other side if I've got this up in front of me?
Because I can see your reflection.
How does the mirror know what I'm doing on the other side?
The mirror doesn't know what you're doing.
Is it showing what I'm doing on the other side?
I think there's a camera in the mirror.
Can you see me
There you
on the
go.
other side of this mirror?
I can.
But how can you see it if this thing is up in front of me?
It's called a reflection.
how? I'm covered. How can the mirror show it?
You're covering your part, but I can see on the outside. I can see the other part. I can see stuff that you can't see.
So is that how the mirror is showing?
I don't know what you're talking about. The mirror is a mirror. It
How
shows
does the
reflections
mirror
only.
know? How, if I'm covered, how does the mirror know what to reflect of me? I'm not in front of.
The mirror doesn't see anything. It's a person angle of sight catching the image.
So this guy spent over $100,000 trying to convince 4 flat earthers they were wrong. But although he actually succeeded, what happened next just blew his mind. You see, Will Duffy had just been the pastor of a small church until he realized one day that his longtime friend was somehow a flat earther. Will learned that flat earthers have always believed that a 24-hour sun in Antarctica doesn't exist. No one is allowed to visit because it would prove the earth is flat. So Will just decided to fly out 4 flat earth influencers to discover the truth for themselves. Not only did he pay $35,000 per person, he live streamed the whole thing on YouTube with 10 different cameras, and even used compass and flight tracking to prove their location. When the sun truly did never set, a longtime flat earther named Jaron admitted sometimes you were wrong in life. The others on the trip also said they were wrong. But although Will thought that was the end of the story, that's when the flat earth community just began attacking him. They claimed that he had brought fake flat earthers and that he had also been using a green screen. When Will proved that he wasn't, people then claimed that he had somehow built a $2 billion Las Vegas sphere. Others even suggested that Satan had helped Will create a fake sun. But despite flat earthers still blasting even crazier theories, Will says the debate is over.
I honestly never know what I believe anymore. I'm not a flat earther, but I do believe we have some, something of a dome over us that we cannot get out of. I only believe the Bible, not what men says.
3 historical photos that hide a disturbing backstory. This photograph, taken in North Africa in 1924, captures a haunting piece of history. If you look closely, you'll notice a lion walking along the edge of the frame. But this is no ordinary lion. It is a Barbary lion. Tragically, this image is believed to be the last photograph ever taken of a Barbary lion in the wild. Shortly after, this lion disappeared, and the entire population was officially declared extinct. This photo, taken in the late 1800s, tells a powerful story. It shows a Native American standing on a hill, looking out over a railroad that's just been built. For some, the railroad meant progress and growth, but for Native peoples, it represented losing their land, culture, and way of life. This image shows the quiet strength and deep sadness of someone watching their world change forever, a moment that says so much without any words. This photo was taken moments before Gandhi's assassination in 1948. It shows him walking calmly through a crowd. Just after this, his life was tragically cut short when he was shot 3 times by a man in the crowd.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure the Barbary lion was killed by poachers.
Oh, hell nah. Elon Musk's little toddler son just seemingly exposed Donald Trump. So Elon was in the Oval Office with Trump and his toddler son, and Elon was giving a little speech. That's when his son turned, looked at Donald Trump, and said, "You need to shush your fucking mouth and go away. You're not even really the president." What do you mean by that? Why did he say that? We all know that Donald Trump is the president, right? So for a kid to say something like that, he had to been hearing from other sources, because he's not just going to say something like that. It got to be picked up. It got to be something he's constantly hearing. Y'all, look at this video.
From one year to the next are the same, and they're
and watch this guy. He think it's hella funny, y'all.
I mean, imagine they go down the grocery aisle, and the prices from one year to the next are the same, and their mortgage, all their debt payments.
Look, I don't know why he said it. Maybe he knows something that we don't. But I need y'all thoughts down below in the comments.
I think he was talking to the reporters who wouldn't be quiet, not Trump. I'm about to be a dinosaur?
I wasn't able to finish this documentary. It's too fucked up. I can handle a lot. I can handle disturbing movies. The more fucked up, the better. But this documentary was too much for me. It was released back in 1995, and you can read above my head what it's about. I think I managed around 15 to 20 minutes of this documentary before I turn it off. Don't get me wrong, the documentary is well put together, and I think it's an important documentary shining light on something that needs to be discussed or needed to be discussed. But it got me thinking about other documentaries that I found too disturbing to watch. I watched this back in the day when it was first released, and you can see what this documentary is about above my head, but it's shocking. It's a truly shocking documentary. And again, like The Dying Rooms, it's a documentary that I had to turn off, but I don't think it's a poorly made documentary, and I think it's a very important documentary. And then that made me think about Orozco the Embalmer, another documentary that I've never been able to finish because it's too disturbing. But unlike The Dying Rooms and unlike Earthlings, I don't see this documentary having much of a point to it. It may be interesting to some people, but I don't think it has any social or political value to it. Now, Orozco the Embalmer, again, you can read what it's about above my head. It's about a guy going about his life as an embalmer, and it seems to have been made for shock value more than anything else. And then that led me to this film, Black Metal Veins. Now, Black Metal Veins is a documentary directed by Lucifer Valentine. Now, Lucifer Valentine is the guy that brought us the Vomit trilogy. This documentary has zero purpose to it. This documentary exists solely to shock us. There are other documentaries that center around this same subject that do it in a much more insightful and in a more valued way. But no documentary has ever upset me quite like this documentary has. This is the documentary. This is my ceiling. I can't move past this. I find this way too hard to watch.
The Dying Rooms broke me. I watch it. The baby sleeping under a wet blanket. Fallen Angel technology. Such a heartbreaking loss. Rest in peace, Bailey. She died from colon's cancer.
I never knew zodiac signs were demon twins. Quit with them demons. You ain't got no brain cells to think. For Aries, where the demon Asmodeus. And these bruh, is not the ones to play with. You could try to play them, but you gonna get that back in blood. They gonna be the ones that end you, bruh. Like how you ended your sport career with an injury. Or Cancer, where the demon Astaroth. Both these bruh, be on demon time when it comes to manipulating emotions. Why? Because they both connected to the moon, bruh. Just like your demon lucid dreams.
Okay, bruh.
They can even tuck in their shell for defense. Damn, they got a sword and a shield underneath that shell, bruh. For Taurus, we're the demon Mammon. And they both about bust downs and Gucci. That luxury life, boy. You see all these skulls here? These is all of his friends. He done sacrificed for that $1 million check. Now that's a demon. For Libra, we're the demon Lucifer. And not because both of their names start with an L. It's because they like to keep things balanced. Like your hairline, bruh. Libra the karma demon, bruh.
Libra is Lucifer? Wow. But once I knew Christ, I don't believe in zodiac anymore. Jesus is my zodiac.
Oh my God!
35-year-old Vita hadn't left his room in 8 years. When the police called us in to clean, the room was filled with filth, urine, and the stench of decay. We had to wear gas masks to work. Each month, his parents sent him $1,000 to live on. The landlord, feeling sorry for him, let him stay rent-free for a year. 8 years ago, Vita had been conned by his ex-girlfriend, who took everything he had before vanishing without a trace. Since then, he fell into despair, drowning himself in alcohol every day. His parents stayed by his side for 3 years, but eventually, they couldn't bear it any longer and left. A year after they left, the landlord came to check the room and found Vita merged with the bed. We can't judge his parents. None of us know what that life would be like. As we cleaned the room, we lit a candle for him. I'm a specialized cleaner, and I'll continue sharing the people and stories I encounter in my work. May God bless him in heaven.
Folks, can anyone explain what bed rotting means? How it works? Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Are you grouchy?
Hey.
Are you grouchy? He's a little grouchy.
That's crazy.
Let's see, he didn't bite my hand off very much. Why are you grouchy? Why are you moody? Why are you moody? Why are you moody? You're supposed to love me the most.
Love you the most. My lifelong dream to grow a bond with a wolf.
Do not do an asymmetrical smile in your profile picture. You are accidentally signaling negativity. In your profile pictures, here are the 3 biggest mistakes people make. 1, they're showing fear eyes. You are signaling, accidentally, anxiety. Try to make sure you're not showing the upper whites. Second mistake people do is they make a contempt microexpression. So if people make the contempt expression, not only do they look scornful, kind of disdained, they actually begin to feel better than and scornful. So do not do an asymmetrical smile in your profile picture. You are accidentally signaling negativity. The third biggest mistake people make is they do an inauthentic smile in their picture. The only true indicator of happiness is when these cheek muscles are activated. If you can activate these muscles in your profile picture, it shows authentic happiness, or don't smile at all. I hate the advice. Just smile more. Fake smiles do not work. I would rather you have no smile at all or be neutral than fake smile. But if you can smile in your picture, it is so great for authentic happiness.
I just have an asymmetrical smile. That's how my face is. Wow. Shanghai. This is in Shanghai, folks. Amazing.
If you ate eggs every single day for 14 days, this is what would happen. You would have more brain power because there's a very unique thing in eggs called choline that helps prevent a fatty liver. The other thing that eggs have is cholesterol. Cholesterol is the raw material to make all your sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and your stress hormones like cortisol. Eggs actually increase the good cholesterol. Eggs have 2 very unique antioxidants, lutein and zeaxanthin. They block blue light from going into the eyes, so they're very protective against things like macular degeneration. And lastly, eggs are high in sulfur. Sulfur will help build up your hair so it's nice and shiny and strong.
I eat 2 organic eggs every morning. I feel great, but the downside is my farts smell deadly.
What's your movie moment of the year?
Oh, it is, because I was just saying, I'm a crier.
Yeah.
I didn't used to be, but kind of old age and dating has turned me into that guy. The scene in Wicked where they all go to the party and then Glinda and Alphabet do that dance, it feels like the humanization of Alphabet. As someone who sort of like grew up being an outcast on the fringes and felt like they didn't fit in, that entire film just hits home in a way that it might not for other people. So yeah, that film broke me as a man.
Adam Pearson before his face is a wild search.
Elon called me. He said, you know, they're trying to drive us apart. I said, absolutely. No, they said, we have breaking news. Donald Trump has ceded control of the presidency to Elon Musk. President Musk will be attending a cabinet meeting tonight at 8 o'clock. And I say, it's just so obvious. They're so bad at it. I used to think they were good at it. They're actually bad at it, because if they were good at it, I'd never be president. because I think nobody in history has ever gotten more bad publicity than me. I could do the greatest things. I get 98% bad publicity. I could do, outside of you and a few of your very good friends, it's like the craziest thing. But you know what I have learned, Elon? The people are smart. They get it.
Yeah, they do, actually.
They get it. They really see what's happening.
Yes.
I think people love drama.
What do you do for a living? And I said, I'm a hairdresser. That explains it.
Hector Corvera says coloring hair for more than 4 decades took a toll on his body. In 2023, he was diagnosed with bladder cancer. Corvera is the plaintiff in a new lawsuit against 13 companies. Attorney Alan Smith alleges Corvera's repeated exposure to chemicals in their hair dye products caused his cancer. He says he plans to file multiple other hair dye cases soon.
What are you accusing these companies of doing?
I'm accusing these hair dye companies of, number one, manufacturing a product that's unsafe. I mean, at a minimum, I would want these manufacturers to provide a warning.
Smith points to a substance that's formed when hair color ingredients are mixed together. We spoke with a half-dozen researchers and doctors who say while there is not strong evidence of a link to cancer for clients who get their hair dyed, numerous studies have found a link between repeated work exposure and an increased risk for bladder cancer. The FDA says under the law, cosmetic products and ingredients generally do not need FDA pre-market approval, and notes the industry reformulated products after some hair dyes were found to cause cancer in lab animals in the 1980s. But the lawsuit alleges dyes are still dangerous.
There are definitive studies that have come out decades later showing the manufacturers did in fact not do what they said they were going to do.
Are you alleging that the companies that make these products are misleading the FDA and the thousands of salons and workers and people who use these products?
100%.
NBC News reached out to every company named in the lawsuit. One company, Coty, says they no longer make or sell hair dye products in the U.S., adding the claims against Coty are unsubstantiated and without merit. Bristol-Myers Squibb says it has no liability for products manufactured by Clairol, which it sold in 2001. Clairol and other companies named in the suit, like L'Oreal, had no comment, some saying they do not comment on pending litigation. Hector had his bladder removed, a new one created out of his intestine.
What are you doing?
He spends a lot of his time now caring for his grandson.
I pray to God that give me some more time to see him grow. You know, but I still have that thought in my mind that, you know, this thing can come back.
He says he'll never work in a salon again.
Same with the nail industry.
I don't know what's going on in DC, but something is definitely going on in DC. As you can see behind me, these are all homes being sold abruptly. This is not just regular people selling their homes either. This is politicians. God, that's not even the weirdest part though. Look what they've been searching up as of late in DC. One being immunity. Why would they be looking for immunity? Why is that the #1 search in DC? What is going on, y'all? Also, they're searching up this too. Extradition. Why would they be looking that up? Look at the spike in those searches, y'all. Look, it go whoop. They also been searching this up. 8 non-extradition countries in 2025. It seems to me that they trying to get up out of here. They trying to abruptly relocate and not look to come back or have someone bring them back. They must be running for some real serious shit. We all know that some sealed documents is finna be unsealed. And these people must got some crazy shit going on. I need y'all thoughts down below in the comments. What do y'all think is really going on?
Run, baby, run. All the politicians are afraid of Doge. Wow, look at that. It's a castle. They're made to be long-lasting. Wait until you hear about the Great Pyramids or the Roman Colosseum.
This was life in a medieval castle.
the harsh reality. Imagine waking up in a medieval castle surrounded by cold stone walls that seem to breathe humidity. The air is heavy, carrying the stench of rotting meat, human sweat, and filth. Luxury, only on the surface. The bathroom was nothing more than a hole in the wall, dumping waste straight into the moats below, turning the castle into a giant pit of stench. Privacy didn't exist, and dignity, a luxury for those who simply ignored reality. Bathing, forget it. Overpowering perfumes masked weeks of accumulated grime, and the grand feasts, often a meal of half-rotten meat and rock-hard bread. At night, the dream bed was covered in lice-infested furs, turning sleep into a battlefield.
Oh man, this might be exaggerated. They even know how to build a stunning castle. You know, middle age or not, it's a common sense. You're not going to walk around with doo-doo inside your pants.
If you were swimming in the ocean and you see this massive creature, run fast. This is El Gran Maja. According to legend, it is said to be living deep within the Mariana Trench. And strange, unidentified sounds have been heard coming from the trench, like this. El Gran Maja was first spotted by a sailor named Diego in 1563. He said that while on a research expedition on a clear day, the ocean turned violent and the sky turned black out of nowhere. At first he thought it was just a storm, but as he looked out into the sea, he saw this enormous creature that was the size of 12 long ships in the distance. Many years later, in the 1990s, a submarine crew claimed what they encountered was a giant sea serpent that came out of the deep ocean smiling at them. Before they could even capture the creature on camera, it vanished into the deep sea. El Gran Maja is estimated to be over 675 meters long, which means it's twice as long as the Bloop. It has a hammerhead-shaped head, 6 small beady eyes, and a huge mouth with long, sharp teeth. Some say it actually looks like a giant gulper eel. No one has actually ever been able to get footage of El Gran Maja, but...
But what?
A sea cave in the uninhabited island of Snæfell, which is in Scotland. Those with open eyes know this is no hexagonal spewing ancient volcano. But if you'd like to see this beautiful piece of our much larger ancient past up close, just take a look at this kayak video, touring around the uninhabited island, or should I say, ancient tree stump. The eyes are useless when the mind is blind, and the mind has been intentionally blinded to so much of this true world of ours. But whether or not your eyes are truly wanting to see, that's entirely up to you. But we can all agree that this is one beautiful place. Reminds me of kayaking the Apostle Islands in Wisconsin. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Ancient trees, how amazing would it be if these trees were still alive? Alchemy. I think alchemy is witchcraft.
It is one of the shortest-lived creatures in the world. A single day in the human world is an entire lifetime for a mayfly. Their life begins in the sediment of the riverbed, and when the water temperature becomes suitable, they break free from the water and rush toward the surface. Every minute, thousands of mayflies emerge from the water. The moment they break through the water's surface, their wings unfold, and they take off into the sky. They dance freely in the air, as if trying their best to experience the beauty of the world. But they know that their life is nothing more than a fleeting spark, and they must fulfill their only mission within their limited time: reproduction. Male mayflies are the first to fly to the riverbank, where they complete their final molt in a very short time. Once the female mayflies emerge from the water, they will mate in the air. After mating, the male mayflies' lives come to an end, and they quietly fall onto the water's surface. But for the female mayflies, the journey has just begun. Carrying new life within them, they use all their strength to fly upstream, searching for the best habitat for their offspring. Although their wings become heavier after mating, they remain steadfast in their journey toward their destination. Eventually, they exhaust the last of their strength and arrive at the river where life began. At this moment, they can no longer flap their wings and finally fall onto the water surface. In their final moments, they release thousands of eggs. These eggs slowly sink into the water, drifting downstream to the place where their parents once lived, beginning a new cycle of life. This is both the wedding and the funeral of the mayfly.
These cicadas are just meant to be food to boost animal population. That's my theory. Mother Nature is smart. God is great.
Have you ever wondered why yogis, Praetorians, and mystics throughout history have survived on little to no food? Yeah, it's because they weren't eating food the way we think about it. They were actually eating light. You see, your body doesn't just metabolize calories, it metabolizes photons. Sunlight hits your skin, activates your mitochondria, triggers ATP production, and powers your biology. So think about this. When you eat food, what are you actually consuming? You're consuming stored sunlight. Plants absorb light, turn it into energy, and we eat the plants. Animals eat the plants, we eat the animals. It's all just a second-hand way of ingesting the sun. Now, imagine skipping the middleman. What happens when you increase direct sun exposure, align your eating cycles with daylight, and fast during darkness? Your body starts to operate on pure light intelligence. And yeah, that's the real reason ancient solar culture saw fasting as a path to enlightenment.
You know, I get depressed when I don't get enough light, sunlight.
Hello? Hello?
I brought my receipt out to show you that I did not overserve her. I don't know what's...
Is this the one that was the problem?
Yeah.
Okay. I figured. I was hoping, because then I'd have two to deal with.
I was gonna say, I don't know what you, like, what should I be doing here? Like, what should I tried to help her out. We tried to get her a ride. I gave her a lot of water. I gave her one drink. Okay. I don't know what else to...
No, it's fine. Do you know about how old she is, ma'am?
No, I don't know anything about her.
Okay. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Again, I feel bad. We really tried to help her. We really, really tried to help her.
Okay.
And she started kicking. She started spitting, she started kicking, and she started trying to break these windows from the outside.
Okay. Keep your pants on, please. Please, ma'am. Keep your pants on, please. What? No. Hey.
Keep your pants on, man. Keep your pants on, man.
Her name is Stephanie.
Okay. Yeah, can I get that 32 rolling this way for a signal for female? 20s, I'm guessing.
I have two of my friends in the bar right now, though. They're just staying with me.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm gonna look in your purse for your ID, okay?
She had too much to drink, that's it.
Do you know her?
Oh, drinks is
No,
spirit.
she's the bartender.
Yup.
Makeup bag. Pissed herself.
We tried to find like her keys to her house, and
The myth. How long did it take to call an ambulance, though?
History of the ancient technology used to create the sword of Gujian is still unknown till today. This ancient sword is considered one of the sharpest in the world. It was discovered in 1965 in a waterlogged tomb in China and has been dated to be over 2,400 years old. When pulled out of its wooden sheath, the blade of the sword was still shiny and new with two extremely sharp edges. In fact, an archaeologist had his hand cut by the sword even though he only lightly touched the blade to test its sharpness.
Really?
Scientists say that the reason this sword has retained its sharpness for over 2,000 years is because it is coated with a special alloy called chromium sulfide. Interestingly, chromium sulfide is a rare metal and very difficult to extract because melting it requires extremely high temperatures of nearly 2,000 degrees Celsius. The question here is how over 2,400 years ago people were able to make this sword. Like, if you really think about it, doesn't actually make sense, especially when it wasn't until 1937 that modern humans invented a method for extracting chromium.
Joe Rogan AI voice.
This is one of the most iconic photographs of the last 100 years and the perfect example of good girl gone bad. Do you know who this is?
Nope.
I'm Mel Z. I do deep dives into death, true crime, and weird pop culture stuff. So if you're a weirdo too, follow me. Patty Hearst wasn't just any good girl. She was the granddaughter of William Randolph Hearst, one of the most powerful media moguls in history. She grew up in extreme wealth, attending private school and living a very privileged life until February 4th of 1974, when everything changed. That night, 3 members of a radical group called the Symbionese Liberation Army stormed her apartment in Berkeley, California, and kidnapped 19-year-old Patty Hearst at gunpoint. At first, her kidnappers demanded $70 million in the form of free food for the poor. So Patty's father organized a $2 million food giveaway. But it was chaotic and mismanaged. Her kidnappers refused to release her and then went silent for weeks. On April 3rd, 1974, Patty's family received a chilling videotape of Patty, and instead of begging for help, she was declaring herself the newest member of the SLA. She renounced her family, her privilege, and announced her new name, Tanya. 2 weeks later, on April 15th, Patty was caught on camera robbing the Hibernia Bank in San Francisco. Wielding a machine gun and barking orders, she wasn't passively involved, but was actively participating in the robbery. For the next 16 months, Patty became a full-fledged fugitive, helping the SLA steal cars, plant bombs, and commit crimes across California. In May of 1974, 6 members of the SLA were killed in a shootout in Los Angeles, but Patty wasn't there. On September 18, 1975, after over a year on the FBI's most wanted list, Patty was finally apprehended. The FBI found her in a San Francisco apartment surrounded by an arsenal of guns. When they arrested her, she said, "I'm Tanya." At her trial, prosecutors painted her as a willing participant who had grown bored of being a rich kid and wanted to do something crazy. They argued that she had multiple chances to escape, but never did. Her defense, on the other hand, argued that she was suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. When you think of Stockholm Syndrome, this is the case that you likely think about because this is what made it famous. Her defense attorneys described how she had been locked in a closet for weeks, abused mercilessly by the SLA members, to the point where she had become brainwashed and only participated in these crimes because she was terrified for her life and very confused about who she was. But the jury didn't buy it. She was convicted and sentenced to 7 years in prison for armed robbery. In 1971, President Jimmy Carter commuted her sentence, cutting her time short. And in 2001, Bill Clinton gave her a full presidential pardon. Today, Patty Hearst is 70 years old. She lives a private life, raising dogs and staying out of the spotlight. But the question remains, was she a willing participant or a brainwashed captive? We'll probably never know.
You know, despite the Stockholm Syndrome and everything, That picture is so iconic.
A controversial video by Mr. Beast exploring the Great Pyramid of Giza has ignited widespread speculation with accusations that his visit involved a secret deal with the Egyptian government.
This is where the pharaoh was buried.
This is the final resting place for King Khafra.
Is it disrespectful to lay in there?
I wouldn't worry about the disrespect so much as the curse.
What does the curse do to you?
Do you want to try?
No.
The claim alleges that Mr. Beast paid billions of dollars, which allegedly afforded him special treatment and access to restricted areas of the pyramids, including the unfounded claim that he spent the night inside the pyramid.
Here's another one that we just secured. We'll have filmed it by the time this goes out. We got all 3 of the pyramids of Egypt for 100 hours. I'm going to do a video where they're going to let me explore anywhere I want in the pyramids for 100 hours. We're going to sleep at the pyramids all to ourselves.
Dog. How did they?
What the heck?
How'd you okay that? How'd they okay this?
He's the guy, man.
Bro, we worked with the Egyptian government. Yep. And we got access to the pyramids. So yeah, we haven't filmed it yet, but they're going to let me go down any tunnels, find secret corridors, just grab a vlog camera and just film.
While the official narrative from the Egyptian government maintains that Mr. Beast only paid a legal fee to film in the area and defended him, clarifying that the YouTuber did not spend the night inside the Great Pyramid, directly contradicting the rumors and statements circulating online.
No one can rent the pyramids. If you pay all the money in this earth, the pyramids are precious and no one really can rent them. But Mr. Beast paid a fee to shoot in the pyramid area for 7 days. And he had a rent in the desert to stay in it. Then he paid the Egyptian government like anyone. You can come to Egypt and you pay a fee and you shoot whatever you want.
I have no idea why Egypt let us do all the things we did, but I'm eternally grateful. Shout out to this country. You guys rock.
Subscribe.
Like and subscribe to see more videos like this.
When money talks, bro has all that.
Can you imagine that 36,000 years ago?
There you go,
According to
Billy.
mainstream, we were like hunter-gatherers just trying to find scraps on the ground and scavenging to eat and group hunt mammoths and all this kind of crazy stuff and living out of caves and everything else. And at the same time that's all supposed to be going on, this is being written. This is being written, all right? So let me ask you this question based on bare bones logic. If you're living in a civilization where your main goal of the day is to survive and just find some type of food and shelter, do you have time to write these kind of works of art? Do you have time to understand quantum physics, quantum mechanics, theoretical physics, philosophy, frequencies and vibrations? Do you have time for that? So something ain't adding up. Either some people came here with some real knowledge, or they don't want us to know that these people came here with the real knowledge because they don't teach you this in school.
There you go, Billy. Stay on your line. Don't discuss Christianity anymore. You're gonna get put down and cry like a little.
Did you know? Ancient texts describe Enlil, also known as Yahweh in biblical tradition, as an Anunnaki warrior who descended to Earth. He was given dominion over the planet and its genetically modified human inhabitants, establishing himself as their supreme ruler. Enlil, a fierce and strategic commander, declared himself the one true God. He ruled Earth with an iron fist, demanding unwavering worship and obedience. Any who questioned his divinity were met with swift punishment. Far from a paradise, the Garden of Eden was an outdoor lab where humanity was controlled and observed. The Anunnaki manipulated their creations, ensuring their development followed a strict and calculated path. Outside of Eden, early hominids and Neanderthals roamed freely, unaware of the genetic alterations within. To cement their rule, Enlil ordered the implantation of a Hash worship gener into human DNA. This ensured that mankind would instinctively revere the Anunnaki as gods. Yet Enki, his brother, defied him. He secretly encoded a mechanism that would allow humans to override this forced devotion. Like domesticated animals, humans were forced to procreate on a controlled schedule. Their numbers were strictly regulated. When their cries and numbers grew too great, Enlil's guards mercilessly culled them to restore order.
One day, Enki walked through the garden and saw the suffering of Adam and Eve. He could no longer endure their enslavement. Defying his brother's decree, he decided to reveal the forbidden truth, that humans were not mere creations, but cosmic beings with immortal souls. Enki approached Eve while Adam was away, speaking to her with compassion. He revealed that neither Enlil nor any of the Anunnaki were true gods. Humanity was not created from nothing, but was genetically altered from an existing race. Eve listened wide-eyed as her understanding of the world shattered. Eve shared the knowledge with Adam. The weight of the truth was overwhelming. Their eyes were opened, not to shame, but to realization. They covered themselves in leaves, symbolizing their rejection of the lie they had lived under. When Enlil learned of their awakening, he was furious. He stormed into Eden, using his whirlwind technology to demonstrate his power. Yet something had changed. Adam and Eve no longer looked at him with blind reverence, but with the defiance of free will. Enlil could not allow their knowledge to spread. He cast Adam and Eve out of Eden, sealing its gates with energy fields and armed Anunnaki guards. From that moment on, humanity was exiled from its controlled sanctuary and forced to survive in the wild world beyond. Enlil soon discovered the true culprit, his own brother, Enki. In his rage, he branded Enki as Rin the Serpent, or the deceiver of mankind. History would remember Enki not as a liberator, but as the villain who led humanity astray. The Anunnaki wielded advanced technology, extending their lives and masquerading as gods. Yet they too were subject to the laws of the cosmos. A day would come when they would stand before the true creator, the one force beyond even their power.
This is what Billy Carson believed. This is confusion, folks.
Why Africans are told that talking to the dead is evil, witchcraft, or demonic? It's because these beliefs threaten the control religion wanted to establish. Our ancestors knew the dead are not gone forever. They become angels who guide and protect us. In African spirituality, communicating with them was a powerful practice to seek blessings, guidance, and protection. Religion saw this strength and feared it, so they labeled it evil to break our connection with our ancestors. When graveyards were introduced, the goal was to take away our ability to keep the dead close. Traditionally, Africans buried loved ones on family land to stay connected to them spiritually. Religion, however, told us to bury them far away and say, "May their soul rest in peace," convincing us that the dead could no longer help us. They created fear and broke the chain between the living and the dead, weakening the spiritual ties that had kept our communities strong. The truth is, the dead do not just rest. They are part of us, guiding and watching over us. By reconnecting with our ancestors, we can reclaim our power and spiritual strength. Stay tuned for the next lesson, where we'll learn how to work with the gone-by spirits and rebuild what was lost. One Africa, one continent.
You pray and talk only to God, our Creator. Matthew 23:8.
So these company executives accidentally started a legendary tradition by just mistranslating the smallest thing. You see, when candy companies were first introducing the foreign concept of Valentine's Day to Japan, they were obviously posting tons of commercials to buy their products. But one company, Morinaga, just so happened to accidentally mistranslate an American Valentine's ad to Valentine's Day as a way for women to express love to men. It was supposed to say a way for men to express love to women, which is the norm everywhere. But because of this mistranslation, it's actually become a tradition for only girls to give chocolates to guys on Japanese Valentine's Day. But these guys are apparently then required to give back 2 to 3 times the value of the chocolates they received a month later on March 14th, known as White Day.
Imagine a time when London was drowning in filth, and this African city had streetlights, complex architecture, and a drainage system that put Europe to shame. Sounds crazy? Well, buckle up. Welcome to Benin City, a place so advanced that European explorers couldn't believe their eyes. While medieval London had no sewage system, Benin City had an advanced underground drainage system. I mean, who's really the developed one here? Oh, and let's not forget they had streetlights in the 1400s. Meanwhile, London was out here tripping in the dark like a horror movie. You've heard of the Great Wall of China, right? But did you know the walls of Benin were 4 times longer? These weren't just any walls. They stretched over 16,000 kilometers and took 600 years to build. So what happened? Well, the British came in 1897, saw all this greatness, and did what colonizers do best. They burned it to the ground and looted everything.
No way.
They don't teach this in school. But now you know. Want more hidden African history? Smash that subscribe button, drop a like, and comment Africa Rise if you want these treasures returned.
Okay, advanced civilization in the 1400s, but they didn't have advanced security to protect what they built.
You want to know what's crazy? The higher up we go, like when we fly in a plane, the colder it gets. Yet we're closer to the supposed heat source of the Earth, which is the sun. Now, we know that the closer you get to a heat source, the warmer it is. If there's a heat lamp 10 feet away from me and I start getting closer to it, the warmer it will get. Yet at
Makes
an
sense.
altitude of about 35,000 feet, it's about minus 40 outside. Much colder than the surface of the Earth. And the same goes for the bottom of the oceans. Earth's core is a supposed 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet the further we go down, closer to the heat source, the colder it gets. Now I know all the little brainwashed agents of the Matrix are going to come in here and say, bro, go back to school, you missed science class. Go on Google and tell me that heat is distributed in different ways and all that stuff. But, you know, I can see things very clearly. My mind is not blind, and I understand that that is complete garbage. And everything they tell you is complete garbage. You believe in pseudoscience, I believe in real science. I really hope this one makes you think. Peace and love.
The education system is broken.
I was going to tell you something. This showed up a while ago on my Facebook page. One day a man named Truth and a man named Lie stood by a river just outside of town. They were twin brothers. Lie challenged Truth to a race, claiming he could swim across the river faster than Truth. Lie laid out the rules of the challenge, stating that both must remove all their clothes, the count of 3, dive into the freezing water, swim to the other side and back. Lie counted to 3, but when Truth jumped in, Lie did not. As Truth swam across the river, Lie put on Truth's clothes and walked back to town dressed as Truth. He proudly paraded around town pretending to be Truth. Truth made it back to the shore. His clothes were gone, and he was left naked, with only Lie's clothes to wear, refusing to dress himself as a Lie. Truth walked back to town naked. People stared and glared as naked Truth walked through town. He tried to explain what had happened, and that he was in fact Truth, but because he was naked and it was uncomfortable to look at, people mocked him and shunned him, refusing to believe he was really Truth. The people in town chose to believe Lie because he was dressed appropriately and easier to look at. From that day until this, people have come to believe a well-dressed Lie rather than believe a naked Truth.
I had forgotten this story. It's a good one to remember these days.
You have to understand how wild this band was. I go, when Old Dirty Bastard was in Rikers, they went to Rikers and performed in Rikers.
Remember that?
Yes!
How the fuck do you remember that?
I told everybody, I was like, do you know how crazy that is? You're talking about like the biggest rap band in the world, and they're performing in a penitentiary to one of the members who's one of the biggest hip-hop stars in the world, who's in jail, and then you guys go into the crowd.
ODB and Wu-Tang are hip-hop royalty.
Spirit realm operates on principles, whether accessed lawfully or unlawfully. How do false prophets, psychics, and diviners access accurate intel? Let's talk about it. If you've ever wondered how a false prophet, which is a real prophet that is under the government of a false god, false spirit, psychics and diviners can sometimes speak with accuracy. Don't confuse their accuracy to be a sign that they have been sent by God. Employment is not the evidence of endorsement. And one of the most profound questions that I've been asked is, why doesn't God blind them spiritually? Why doesn't God remove their ability to see or to know? First, we have to understand that the spirit realm operates on principles, whether accessed lawfully or unlawfully. Divine revelation comes from God alone. But intelligence can be stolen, it can be manipulated, it can be intercepted. If we look in Daniel chapter number 10 and 13, we see that there was an angelic conflict going on in the realm of the spirit over revelation. And just as angels fight to bring divine messages, there are demonic forces or demonic angels that intercept, distort, distribute corrupted versions of the truth, or distribute accurate versions of the truth with corrupted means and objectives or agendas. Wow. In Ephesians chapter 6, it reminds us that principalities and rulers of darkness operate in unseen realms. These entities observe and they gather intel and intelligence, and they exploit patterns to mimic divine insight. In Leviticus chapter 19 and 31, the Bible forbids us from seeking out mediums because they communicate with familiar spirits. These spirits don't predict the future. They recycle generational data that has been observed and gathered from watching your family and your family history. And then they whisper what has already been observed. A psychic is not reading your destiny. They are reading your history. Spirits attached to bloodlines and to territories, regions, and groups of people archive information and then feed it to its counterfeit agents. The law of agreement in Matthew chapter 18 and 19 is a principle. Even in deception, words and beliefs can create access points for demonic and satanic forces. A false prophet doesn't need divine insight. All a false prophet needs is a willing recipient who unknowingly enters into an agreement through faith in their words. In Deuteronomy 13, the Bible says that God warns that even if a false prophet's sign comes to pass, it's a test to see if you will follow God or that sign.
This is good.
I want you to sit with that. That a false prophet had an accurate sign, and God said it's a test to see, are you more governed by signs or are you governed by God? And this is a test that many people fail, even in the church, unable to recognize when false prophets preach Jesus and have signs and wonders. And because of your addiction to signs and wonders, you follow after them rather than following after him.
Whoa, this is good. This is good. When you see prophets that ask, can I prophesy over you? Their demons are getting legal access to you when you agree. A real prophet will just deliver the message God instructing them to.
Something about this Wendy Williams situation is just not sitting right with me, y'all. As you can see, this is Wendy Williams in her window talking on the phone to one of the TMZ members because she cannot come out of her home. He asked her when was the last time she was out her home. She said like 2 months ago when she had a medical appointment. So in 2002, a court appointed a legal guardian who oversees her financial and her personal affairs. A doctor had diagnosed her with dementia. And we all know when you get dementia, there's no getting better. You only get worse, worse, and worse. But in the case of Wendy Williams, she's beating the odds. Or did somebody misdiagnose her? I will be making a longer video, so y'all make sure y'all tune in.
It's all about controlling her and her mount.
So the giant pine cone statue at the Vatican has more meaning to it?
Aren't you curious why at the middle of the Vatican there's a pine cone instead of a statue of Jesus? I'm telling you, it's not just for some decoration. That pine cone is a big symbol. You can see it on the Pope's staff and in churches everywhere. But here's the strange part. The same symbol shows up in ancient Egypt and Samaria used by their gods. Osiris, the Egyptian god, carried a staff with a pine cone. The Sumerian gods had it too. And yet Christianity calls these ancient religions evil. They say it's devil worship. So why would the Vatican use the same symbol? Makes you think, right? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The pine cone represents the pineal gland, what people call the third eye. It's a part of your brain that helps with dreams and deep thoughts. The word pineal even comes from the same root as pine cone, and both have the same spiral shape. Ancient people believed the pineal gland was the key to spiritual visions, a way to connect with something bigger than ourselves. And get this, the pineal gland makes DMT, a chemical that gives people wild dreams and mystical experiences. That's why some say it's the God gland, a bridge between the real world and something beyond. The Vatican didn't just pick that symbol for fun. The truth is hidden right there, in the Vatican, on the Pope's staff, and even in ancient art. But only those who know what to look for can really see it.
Witchcraft. This is crazy. Ancient technology. AI.